You might not know it, but there are changes to the workers' compensation law that protects your job that are going to affect this month. Attorney Jim Higgins with the Higgins Firm is here to talk about some of those changes today so we can all be up to date in case we ever have to use them. Welcome to Midday.
Thank you.
So some changes have been made. Let's talk about those. What are they?
Well, they did a lot. Every time the legislature's in session, they got to tinker with something, and work comp often comes up. So they made some pretty significant changes this year. A few of the big ones are a lot of common work comp claims are repetitive injury or repetitive stress claims. We see those a lot, and you hear carpal tunnel or maybe a back injury if somebody's been doing the same job in a warehouse for a long time. Well, the legislature has taken those out, but for a few exceptions, and they said, you know, if they are no longer under comp, and if they are, you got to point to specific accidents. Now, so there are cases where they are still going to be able to have these repetitive injuries, but they're going to be harder.
Right.
They changed a couple of laws about resolving a case basically as a compromise. A few years ago, they said, hey, you can't resolve a case except for a very small amount as a disputed claim. And they realized that that was forcing a lot of cases to trial when sometimes that's not the best thing.
Yeah, so it's making it more difficult for the worker. What does this mean for the worker?
Well, it's gotten harder, you know, and it has, and as a person who, you know, that's all we do is represent workers, and so I think it's going to make our work a little tougher, but there's still things in there that are for them, that are protect people, that these benefits, you can get them better, get them back to work. It's more complicated now. I think, you know, a lot of times people would call me and I'd say, oh, everything's fine, you don't need a lawyer. And as things go on, I'm finding that more and more people need us just because it's getting trickier and harder to navigate.
Absolutely, and you're the person to help them through that.
Right.
Now, were there also changes with regard to an employee testing positive on a drug test?
Yeah.
Can you explain that after an accident?
They did. We have what we call a drug-free workplace, and now if somebody tests positive for alcohol or drugs, after they have an accident, they have no right to bring a claim unless you can prove with clear and convincing proof that it didn't have anything to do with it. So for instance, if somebody had some medication in their system or something and they were hit by someone else and it totally was not their fault, then they still may have a claim, but otherwise those claims are out. And, and of course that's to encourage people to be safe and to not do those things when they're working.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, and these changes also are in a timely manner because it's happening last month and this month, right?
Yes, they go to some of them last month, some in this month. Just that's the way the legislature does things. It kind of goes in pieces. But I think by the end of July, all of the changes should be in effect on claims that happen after that date.
Now, for someone who doesn't know if, you know, an injury on the job for them is something that they would get compensated for, how would you help them if they didn't know? They just give you a call? Yeah,
you know, I have a whole section of my office that is all we do, and so a lot of it is, I don't mind talking to people if they call, or if I'm not there. A lot of times I'll have another lawyer that can, or some people shoot us an email, and generally there's no need to come down for an hour appointment. Half the time I can just talk to someone on the phone and say, you're fine, or you better get down here.
Right, so you're going to really help them and navigate them through the whole process, because it can be a process.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. Well, so what else should people call you for? Can you help them for other things as well?
Yeah, the way our office is set up is we have now 8 or 9 lawyers and a lot more support staff, and we divide our office into sections so that they specifically do that section. I have a section that deals nothing with employment law, so overtime cases, minimum wage cases, harassment cases. I have a section that just deals with work comp. We have a section for malpractice and products liability cases. We generally have most of it covered, and if we don't, we usually can refer you to someone that does handle your type of issue.
That's great. So really helping people get the money that they deserve. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Casey.
Good to talk to you.
Okay.
Now, you can reach the Higgins Law Firm by calling 615-353-0930 or log on to the More at Midday section of WSMV.com for a link to their website.